Hello, and welcome back to another edition of All or Not According to Jack with your host, Jack Toledano. As I stated previously, um, I'm going to do a very quick review of the song, the Beatles' new song, Now and Then. So imagine, they broke up in, 1970, early 1970, released an album post-breakup called Let It Be. Uh, we thought for the longest time that they were going to let it be, but then they released a couple other songs. Uh, in a few years ago, Real Love, and what's the other song called? Okay, I had to pause for a second to get the title of the other song that the Beatles released a few years ago, "Free as a Bird," which actually, of the three songs, the two that I mentioned previously, and now this one, Now and Then, "Free as a Bird," probably my favorite of the three, and probably the most reminiscent of a full Beatles song. It actually has vocals from both John and Paul, whereas this one is is more Paul and possibly George in the background. Uh, let's give it a little spin just to start it off and see what you think. Uh, Share. I guess that's about the most you're going to hear of Paul's voice. One, two, three.
I know it's true. It's all because of you. And if I make it through, it's all because of you. And now and then, if we must start again, well,
I'm probably not going to break into this song as much as I did Panic Attack by Judas Priest, but so let's review. So this is a John, in order to be able for them to say that they put a Beatles song together, it had to be something that John worked on, recorded, but never released. So, it's him on vocals and piano. Uh, Paul added bass. George added some guitar. Ringo added drums, which some people think that the drums don't really sound that great, but what are you going to do? Unfortunately, come 2001, uh, George passed away, unfortunately, so it looks like we've reached the end of the line of having actually all four of them and them being able to sell it as basically a song that all four Beatles are in. But we'll talk a little about the production and what makes this good. Uh, just gonna give you a few more bars here. All right, I think I'm going to cut this off for a minute. So, these are some thoughts. George Harrison was was it the late 80s? He was in a band called the Traveling Wilburys. This sounds a little too much like them to me now. That's one thing. Um, you know what? I We all know what a terrible tragedy it was that we lost John Lennon, back in 1981. I'm not going to rehash it. I was very saddened by it, but at the same time, I'm not a big John Lennon fan. Uh, if you had to put him against his Beatle counterparts for who had the most successful solo career after they ended in 1970, I'd have to say that he came in third place. Uh, you, you can't argue with the body of music that Paul McCartney put together. Even George Harrison, I thought he came up with some great songs after they broke up. Uh, he had a real long list of songs that he must have had written but didn't make it onto the Beatles albums that he was able to utilize later on. You know, he had a great career going practically, up until the late 80s, early 90s. Uh, Whereas John Lennon, here's a guy who criticized Paul McCartney, saying that he wrote, how did he quote it? Granny shit music. He wrote songs that, grannies would listen to. Uh, Basically, he wrote silly love songs, prompting Paul to write the song Silly Love Song. So what does he do? Uh, the album Double Fantasy, you got Watching the Wheels, Woman, Starting Over, all ballads. Things that you criticized Paul McCartney for, you went and did. I don't get it. So, uh, you know, friend of mine on Facebook, posed a question, very good question. Now and Then has been released. What do you think of it? So I saw a lot of people that said, "Oh, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Beatles putting out a song in 2023. That's fucking amazing." Then you had other people that were a little more honest. One guy said, "Meh." Other people said, "It's okay. It's nice to have a song in 2023, but it's not their greatest." I mean, to to kind of put it this way, to use this analogy, you had the Philadelphia Phillies who didn't make it to the World Series. They got knocked out by the Arizona Diamondbacks. Meanwhile, they have the slugger on their team, Bryce Harper. He doesn't hit a home run every time he comes to the plate, and his lack of production in that NLCS probably cost him, who knows, contributed to costing them the series. But so that's like the Beatles. Just because they put this thing together doesn't automatically make it great. I really did like the song Free as a Bird. I thought that little interlude that Paul McCartney, that bridge that he added where he sings almost, uh, what's the song at the end of Sergeant Pepper, A Day in the Life, similar to that, where John wrote the song, Paul added a little bit to it, completed the song. Same with Free as a Bird. Here, it's an average song. It's like, uh, but the remarkable thing is, with the technology today, they were able to take that song, break it all apart into little parts to isolate John's vocals by itself, isolate his piano by itself. They were able to enhance the piano. They were able to use artificial intelligence. I know they said that in the news. I don't know if it was for his vocals or for the piano or both, but they were able to basically take his mono vocals and enhance it to the point that it could be nice and high in the mix, that you can definitely make out his voice and it sounds really good. So uh that aspect is good, but it's like I said in that Facebook comment, it's feels too much like the hype and the production and the artificial intelligence outweigh the actual song. It's like you're telling me that you're going to take the song Revolution 9 off of the White Album and turn it into another, Hey Jude or Let It Be. Can't happen. I don't think that happened here. But not a bad song. It's a ballad. So what do I say? 3.5 out of 5. They are the Beatles. They are great. Uh, they are the greatest rock and roll band, but that's debatable by some because somebody wrote that they said that the Rolling Stones' Hackney Diamonds blows it out of the water. Uh, Actually, there were a bunch of songs on that album that I thought were really good. And yes, I am going to do a review of that album, hopefully within the next few days. Give you my take on that. And, you know, there are parts of that album that I thought were very fun. Good stuff. But again, it's 2023 and Beatles have a new song. How are they going to package this song with, you know, uh, another album to sell at Christmas time? Who knows? We'll see. This is Jack Toledano speaking for All or Nada, according to Jack. Uh, be well, everybody, and I will speak to you soon.